All right, hey guys. This is David Quinn from Ohio. I'm at Fairless Elementary School. I teach kindergarten through fifth grade. So this is an interesting one this week, and I think it's probably the foundation of everything that you guys will do. The culture of your classroom is something that you have to really write down in detail and know every second of the class. I know that it seems a lot of work when you're sitting there in college and you're trying to figure out how to make this all happen. But after your first year or two, it's just natural. My lesson plans now, after I've been here for 10 years, fit on a sticky note. My stuff's already ingrained into the students from kindergarten all the way through fifth grade. So they know all of those little things. I don't need to write out my routines and my transitions. You build that culture from kindergarten all the way up through. So your routines that you have might be a slight bit different for a kindergarten versus a fifth grader, but they already know those expectations. They know that freeze, hands are on hips, feet are together, equipment is laid down at the feet. So once you get that built in, it's so much easier as you go through. And it's something that, like I said, in college, your first year teaching, you've got these 2, 3, 4-page lesson plans that you're creating with all of your details and how they relate to the standards and all of this other stuff. But by the time you get going, you can really just know your stuff and it just flows. So as far as what the culture looks like in my classroom, I'm from Kent State, and my professors at Kent State were huge on the sport education model. And I love the sport ed model for games teaching because it gives everybody a piece of the action. It's truly the best way to include all skills from low to high. It brings your leaders in and it gives everybody a purpose. So what it would look like for me, I don't focus a lot on the skill. I make sure that I teach my skills and I meet my standards. But I only see students one time a week for 50 minutes. I'm not going to make anyone a good basketball player. I cannot help you win the Cube tournament or the cornhole tournament this weekend. I look at my gym like a place where you come to experiment and you learn ideas, and it's up to those kids to take them home and try them. So for example, this week we just played Cube. And if you don't know what Cube is, it's an incredible game to play. A lot of strategy, higher level thinking is involved in this game. I had a kid go home and his mom told me that he set up red Solo cups for the Cube and he was using stuffed animals to play the game at home. And that's exactly what we want. Our goal should be to get these kids moving at home. That 50 minutes, we don't need to worry about it. We just make it fun. We make sure that they understand there are lots of ways to stay active. And then we hope that we send them out and they go. That's our goal. That's my goal. So 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I focus on the sport education model. And with the sport education model, first thing that I do is I break them into teams because I know my students. I've had them since kindergarten. So when they walk in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, they're broken up because I know what they can do. I know who gets along well. So I divide them into 4 teams. And those 4 teams each have a role. There's a head coach, a trainer, an equipment manager, we have our scorekeeper, we have our media person who's in charge of the media and letting everybody know about their team. So that's pretty easy information to find about the sport ed. The media person then, their first job is to create a team poster. This hangs up in the gym the whole year. I don't switch teams. I never trade players. And the reason that I do that is because I want these kids to learn how to work with each other. I want them to build that team spirit, and I want them to have a chance to win and lose together. A lot of our kids are never going to play on a sports team. So this is their only chance at working together to accomplish goals. So this team will stay the same all year, but they will switch roles. So everybody's going to get a different chance to try something that they want. And as you can see, there's 6 people on this team. So everybody won't be the head coach this year. But when we split teams up next year, they have that opportunity. And some kids don't want to be the head coach, so we let them engage at their level. So their team poster hangs on the wall. Everything that we do in the gym relates to this team. If we're lining up and we have 3 minutes, I'm going to do a wall sit challenge. Whoever can hold the pose the longest, they're going to hang a ribbon up beside this on the wall. And as the year goes, everybody's got a ton of ribbons over here beside this. So their sport ed model looks a little different than maybe what a middle school would, but I push my elementary kids in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade to go a little bit farther. At the end of the year, or at the end of the second 9 weeks, we hold some kind of big event with the teams from the grade level that have the most ribbons. I've worked with the music teacher, and she also awards ribbons to these teams because she takes these teams into her room, and it makes it easier for when she splits up for games and activities in there. So our big event that they may have with all of their ribbons, whoever wins the most, it could be something like a staff versus students basketball game, or a dodgeball game, or a coop tournament. It's just something silly and fun that they feel like they won this big championship and they accomplished something. 3rd, 4th, 5th grade love this. They love it. They know their roles. They know who needs to go get the equipment for their team and bring it back. They have a trainer that's in charge of their stretches as soon as they walk in the gym. It's very organized and precise. So that culture that I've built with the sport ed model, I almost can stand back and the kids roll on their own. There's really not a whole lot now that they've built that in from 3rd grade through 5th grade. So with the little kids, the culture's a little bit different. When I was in college, my professors always said that fun was a byproduct of what we're doing, and I always disagreed with that. I think fun is what we have to have, and the learning is a byproduct of that fun. I think if we take any game or activity, but we spin it into something fun, we hook them. We are really just entertainers. That's our job every day, is to entertain people. We're a movie star. We're on TV. These kids are watching us. So if we are fun and we're goofy and we're telling jokes and we're laughing and we're saying kids' names and we have that engagement and that fun, whatever you ask them to do, they will do. If you lay some balls in the middle of the gym and you say that this is our pumpkin patch and you're crawling on the floor with them, they will crawl on the floor with you. They'll see the pumpkins. So with the younger kids, I have my rules, my routines. I have that stuff very strict, and if there's one kid that's talking when I say freeze, we won't move. I'll sacrifice that 25-30 seconds in 1st grade and kindergarten to wait on them so that when I get to 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, it's immediate. They know that. I'm sorry, there's a little bit of noise. The preschool uses the gym during my lunchtime. So with my younger kids, it's this big, fun, extravagant event that they come to in the gym. But it's very strict with freeze, equipment down, where the boundary line is, where we come in. And this year looks a lot different. This is my 10th year, 9th year teaching, and I've had to completely upend everything. We need 6 foot of distance between students. We're not supposed to have our masks off. No shared equipment. So I'm completely starting from scratch with a lot of this stuff. And so this year I'm back to writing things down a lot to make sure that I remember. But I say what you need to know about the culture in your gym is that if you establish your things early, it makes the next 4 or 5 years of teaching those students much, much easier. Put the work in early, reap the rewards later. And I disagree with my Kent State professors. Fun is the goal. The learning is the byproduct. You need to hook them. You need to have fun. You have to have fun, and they will have fun. Other than that, inside of the gym with the culture, I think that there's not a lot of stuff up on my walls. I'm not one of those people that goes crazy with decorating things. I have a section where we have our fit principles up, so that it's easy to see and kids are reminded of that. I have a giant wall with all of our team posters on it. So each class has 4 teams, so there's 4 posters per class. I have a section that I haven't actually used yet. I call it my tribe wall. And basically that wall just reminds students not to say, I don't know. It gives them different options to say other than I don't know when they're asked a question. So later this year I'm going to introduce that, and when I ask a student a question, if they say I don't know, they're going to go over to that wall and they're going to find a different option to come back and tell me. It might be, can I think about this for a little while? Can you ask the question in a different way? Mr. Quinn, what does the word boundary mean? Something like that. What I want to do is create a better atmosphere as far as our conversations go, and I want them to think a little bit deeper other than just, I don't know. So that's a new one. I don't really have much else on my wall. I have one rule on my wall, and my one rule is be respectful. That's the only rule in the gym. The more rules you give them, the harder it's going to be to follow, and be respectful blankets everything. So if you're respectful to your friends, if you're respectful to me and respectful to the equipment, we'll be able to accomplish everything we need. And you demonstrate what be respectful means, but it's much easier than saying 15 different rules and expecting a 5-year-old to remember it. Be respectful. And when they violate those rules, you just say, are you being respectful to your friend? Are you being respectful to me? And talk about why it wasn't respectful. So I would say that when you're setting up your culture, start early, make sure that you have fun, get in there, and you really just have to be a big kid too. I'm 35 years old, and I still crawl on the floor, and I still play all the games with them. And the last thing I'll leave you with is the most important thing that I was ever taught when I was doing student teaching. Friday comes around, it's the last class of the day, and you're tired. You maybe don't want to get in there and play that game, but that group of students have been waiting the entire week to see you and play that game with you. So you got to suck it up. You got to get in there and play with them on that Friday, because there's a lot of kids in this building that their favorite part is you. And the only reason they look forward to school is that 50 minutes with you. So have fun with them, and if anybody ever needs to ask questions or wants a little bit more of an explanation or pictures, you guys are welcome to email me. Your professor has my email. I'd love to answer whatever you need or help you out however I can. Thank you guys.